Sony, don't even think about it.
FBI, open up!
Do not, I repeat, do not force your teams who prefer to make single-player games and linear games to make live service multiplayer games. Remember Anthem? Remember Marvel's Avengers? Remember Redfall? Look, I get it. Single-player blockbusters are expensive and have been growing in price year after year, and you need some way to balance the books. You know, make the shareholders happy. That's what all the companies do these days. But if your teams are saying no, or we don't want to make this, or we're nervous about this, then you need to hire a team that knows how to make all of this. I mean, you just bought one for a decent amount of money. What was it, 3.6 billion? Can't put my finger on that company. But anyway, get them to be making the game. They're clearly not focusing on anything else important right now.
Well, I don't know what I expected.
We as gamers and players need to talk about this, and this needs to spread like wildfire to the heads of Sony now that Jim is actually stepping down and retiring as the CEO. Whoever takes over, this will set the stage for the next 5 to 10 years. If they screw this up, this could have bad consequences. Dramatic sounding, I know, but I'm really passionate about this and really worried about what the future holds when it comes to PlayStation right now, especially with their focus on live service. So I really want to talk about it. As always, if you enjoy these types of videos, a like and a comment would help us out a ton. If you really enjoyed the video and want to see more, a sub to the channel would be greatly appreciated. It's free after all. I'm Talon with Direct Gaming, and it's time to get started. First off, to catch those up on what's been going on, here are the Spark Notes. Sony's current CEO, Jim Ryan, is retiring, thus meaning Sony needs to find a new CEO from March of 2024. It was his idea to push for the more live service games, hence why we're covering this. PlayStation has about 10 live service games in development as of February 2022. None of them have been released yet, but it seems the first one will be around in somewhere between 2023 late and 2024. Remember, when they announce things that are being worked on, more likely than not, they've already been worked on for a decent amount of time. So it wouldn't surprise me if some of these early games have already been in development for about 3 years. The term live service games makes players roll their eyes harder than an American football player tackling the opponent's quarterback. Let's be honest, there are just way too many. And final Spark Note, tons of live service games over the years have flopped hard. Whether it's due to the lack of knowledge on how to make them, how to learn from other games' mistakes, or the team making them simply just not being the best for that type of game. All right, hopefully that's caught you up on everything. If you want a more in-depth video or videos, then check out the video here where we talk about the CEO changing, top right corner, and also us discussing live service games and the problems that a lot of them face to this day. That one's a little bit older, but some of the points still stand. So with all the background stuff done, let's talk about what's going on right now. After the news broke that Jim is retiring, there were a lot of happy fans actually. Even reporters like Jason Schreier wrote articles on Bloomberg about how happy players are with Jim leaving. He's not the most favorable CEO, so it kind of makes sense. But some are still asking why. Again, we covered lots of these reasons in the video above, but the main reason includes for his push on live service games. Many players are worrying that they're pushing too hard into these live service due to the money that can be made from these, and that the single player narrative games will slowly be pushed aside. And yeah, a majority of players are not very happy about that. Now, there are some cool franchises / games that could be turned into some of these live service or PvP games, because let's be honest, that's what most of these games are going to be. For example, Killzone, Resistance, or even Uncharted or The Last of Us. Heck, maybe a brand new franchise that could take some time to mold, but could build a following. Those could actually do pretty well. If given the proper time, not only could they work out well for Sony, but make you the money that you are craving. However, this year, we started to see trailers dropping, showing off these live service games, including some that have already been canceled. And this is where players are super worried. Starting off, let's see what's been shown to us so far. Keep in mind, there are 10 games supposedly being in development, but we've only seen a handful of them. So let's start with these. First game we know of is Factions, or Factions 2 technically, from Naughty Dog, who is best known for the Last of Us series, and before that, the Uncharted series, and even Crash Bandicoot along with Jak and Daxter. Next up is Fairgame. Yes, the money sign is supposed to be an S, real original. That seems to be an extraction shooter mixed with Payday. Finally, we have Helldivers 2 from Arrowhead, which seems to take the top-down games that they're best known for and turn it into more of a third-person co-op game. There are some extra details that they've included in some recent trailers, and it actually looks decent, but regardless, that is another one. Final bit, I am not going to be including Foamstar since that is being made by Square Enix, and as of right now, it's only come out on PlayStation, but we don't know any details if it potentially comes out on Xbox or PC going forward. Other than that though, we've heard some rumors about a Horizon World FPS and some others, but those are just rumors for now. So how are these turning out so far? Well, Factions has all but been canceled and Fairgame has been ripped apart online. I mean, look at those dislikes right there. Just look at them. Now, to be fair, Helldivers 2 seems to be doing okay at the moment, but his problem stems from being on PC as well, but not releasing at the same time as PlayStation. Don't get me wrong, it's amazing it's on PC. Absolutely love it, but it's releasing later. And if it flops on PlayStation, it ain't doing too well on PC. I can guarantee you that. Look, say what you will about something like Halo Infinite or other multi-platform live service games, the Helldivers only going on to PS5 during a time when prices have gone up across the board for consoles, games, and your PlayStation Plus, which requires you to play online? Yeah, that's not looking good. I mean, I just mentioned that if it only does okay, then it's not going to do very well on PC. Or if it follows the trends of bad PC ports, that's not going to look good either. Luckily, PlayStation, as of this moment, for the most part, has done well with its PC ports, aside from a few. Those I totally get. If this is supposed to be a way to get more people to pay for your PlayStation Plus service, yeah, I don't think that's going to have the effect you think it's going to, especially after the tasteless increase in the price of the service we just mentioned. Going back over to Factions, for a while, it looked like things were actually going pretty well. The Last of Us has a good-sized fan base, and the first Factions, which was part of the very first Last of Us, actually did pretty well. It was combined with the game, so it wasn't like it was sold separately, but a lot of people seemed to have enjoyed it. That was back in 2022, however, though. Come to present year of 2023, and the team making the game has been scaled back a lot. This is after Bungie, remember, who they bought for $3.6 billion to help them with these live service games, evaluated the game and how it will maintain players for a long time. What long time is, I'm not sure. A year? 3 years? Who knows? But this was quoted by Bloomberg. The number of people working on the project has been reduced, partly as a result of the Destiny Studios' feedback as its quality and viability were questioned. While not flat out canceled, the team seems to be much smaller while Sony reevaluates its directions. Now, if you know anything or have seen anything when it comes to news about small teams and live service games, that's not good news. This is not an indie game or a single player narrative game where small teams can work on it bit by bit, take breaks, and once you release it, you just gotta worry about some patches or potential future DLC. You need a good-sized team, especially once the game releases. Looking at things like servers, weekly content, and other drops that have to come if you want to keep players invested and keep coming back to your game. Bungie should know this, but my guess is they're too focused on marathon and under-delivering. Another quote from the studio stated, "As development has continued, we've realized what is best for the game is to give it more time. Our team will continue to work on the project as well as other games in development, including a brand new single-player experience." That quote does not give me hope at all for the live service stuff. It makes sense that Naughty Dog would want to work on a single-player game. Heck, we'll talk about it a little bit later, but when a team has been focused and building those skills over the years to focus on those types of games, then yeah, they're going to want to build a single-player game. Multiplayer game, not so much. Hence why I've said you either need to bring people in who want to try and evolve and try those things, or you have to hire a brand new team to do it, and then have some coordination between the team that focuses on single player and the team that's actually good at making a live service game. Again, that's supposed to be Bungie, but we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen in the future. We've also seen quotes like this from other live service games, and usually after those quotes, it's usually under-delivered or just simply flat out canceled. Anyone remember Anthem 2? That was given a skeleton team and later on just simply canceled. Anthem had some of the most potential when it came to a live service game. Say what you will about the flaws, it had tons and plenty of them, but the very basic gameplay loop had a lot of promise, and EA just let it go. So who's to say that Sony wouldn't do the same thing? Now, I could talk about Fairgame, the final one that I mentioned beforehand, but yeah, I think the likes to dislikes say it all. I mean, when I look at this, I think Fortnite meets Payday. I mean, it's a heist game. There's tons of those out there. Now, I know we have not actually seen any gameplay, but still, unless this game is perfect performance-wise, has a ton of content out of the gate, which is not usual for live service games, under-deliver and all, and has an amazing gameplay loop, this game in particular will not last at all. With all this said now, there's actually some talk going around and reported that developers and studios from PlayStation are not comfortable with making games as a service. Heck, Jason Schreier, who we mentioned beforehand, found out that it's been an uncomfortable pivot. They've built their teams to make single-player cinematic adventure games. And to the comments of, well, just got to evolve with the times, no, just stop it, no. If Sony wants to make these games, they need to ask the teams who want to try and have Bungie teach them how to make these. Even though I don't agree with all of Bungie's ideas, they've clearly had some success, I guess. Or they need to hire brand new teams who want to build these types of live services. If someone from Guerrilla Games, for example, who just finished Horizon Forbidden West, says, hey, I want to try making a Killzone PvP game or live service or multiplayer game, then sure, let him or her start helping with the teams and ideas on how to build it and go forward from there. But it's unrealistic to expect teams who develop and improve those skills in one area to just turn around and make something completely different. Now, if they choose to try something new and learn from somebody else, that's totally fine. But when you even have heads like Shuhei Yoshida saying live service games are boring and he does not want to see gaming's future dominated by it, Sony really needs to tread lightly. I mean, again, look at what happened with Marvel's Avengers or Anthem. You took developers and people who are used to working on one style of game and just said, hey, make this live service game. And we've heard about some of the inside stories when it comes to those games, and it is not pretty. It has torn up some of those development teams and just those companies in general. I don't want to see that happen here. Sony has a real chance here to really take a step back and evaluate these live service plans of theirs. I'm not just talking money-wise. Look at the players. I've mentioned this beforehand, including in this video, but player time is a big factor that they don't really seem to be considering, at least on the surface or what we see from the outside going in. Every player has a finite amount of time during the days and weeks to play games. The purpose of a live service game is to get players to log in every week or every day and then buy stuff from the shop, be it cosmetics, emotes, etc. So if you get a ton of gamers into, say, Helldivers 2, for example, they are not going to also play your next live service game. You're supposed to hook them to stay with that game. Now, I know the answer that some will post or reply with will say, well, it's for the players who ignored Helldivers 2, though. And again, look at the average player. Not only is time limited, but money is as well. People are canceling subscriptions and not buying as many games/items as they were before, especially in 2023. We mentioned this already, but you have to own PlayStation Plus, so that's even more money that they have to spend. Plus, you need to make sure that all the games are fun and can actually last. Bungie did not even like your Last of Us multiplayer. So what happens if they see something like the Horizon multiplayer game? You're just gonna take their word at it? Or are you gonna say, okay, we appreciate your feedback, but our players seem to really like this, especially if you've shown the trailer. Luckily for Factions, you haven't shown us a trailer, because I have a feeling that a lot of people potentially could have liked it, but then Bungie would have been like, not the greatest. You could have seen some major pushback on that. It's also not a good look when you cancel so many games that you've invested all this money into when it could have been going towards other games that your fan base have actually wanted and have explicitly expressed this. In my opinion, you need to focus on 2 to 3 max, and that's it. You got Bungie for a reason. They'll provide you with the money through Marathon and Destiny as well. Yes, I know they're not only exclusive to those platforms now, but that still helps bring Sony in a good amount of money. I'm sure there's some details there in the contract. No idea what they are, but it wouldn't surprise me. Again, I know single player games are known for being expensive these days, but you need to find a way to make these PvP style games that are not solely old style live service games and can bring you the money that you want. Or, God forbid, something completely new to help you with that. I don't know what that answer is, but live service, especially 10 live services, is not the answer. All right, we've talked more than enough about this topic when it comes to Sony and its live service games. I'm sure I could ramble on for longer and longer with lots of ums in there, but I think you get the point. Now I want to know from you in the comments. Do you think Sony should stop this live service chase that so many have failed in the past? Should Sony keep chasing it? What should they do? Do you agree with my opinions or do you disagree? I want to know all your thoughts down below. If you enjoyed this video, then a like and a comment, like I've said before, will be greatly appreciated as it helps the channel out a ton and pushes us into the old scary algorithm. I've been Talon with Direct Gaming. Thank you everyone for stopping by the video. It means a ton to me if you stuck around this long, or heck, even watched the intro. I want to know all your comments and I'll read as many as I can. Anyway, with that being said, I hope to see you guys all in the next video and have a great day. Johnny.